Bloopers. Okay, that's great. Yep, that's... wow.
Today I am sitting in front of you, a broken and defeated man. I originally wanted to make this video about how I was laughing in the face of all the people that said Baratza Encore couldn't make espresso. And I have been using a Baratza Encore and a Breville Bambino Plus to make espresso for 10 months now, and I can confidently say the comments and forums were right, and I am tired of trying to prove them wrong. But how did I get here? 6 months ago, I made a video about how I was making espresso with my Breville Bambino Plus and Baratza Encore, and back then I was getting decent results. That's partially because I was using the included portafilter and double-walled basket, which is like espresso on easy mode. It's also partially because I was using a much darker coffee, not as freshly roasted, and it's easier to work with in some ways, albeit doesn't taste as good as it could. And it's partially because I wasn't obsessively tracking results and shooting for specific goals, and I upgraded from a beginner machine to an intermediate one. When I started making these videos, this was the best home espresso I'd ever had. But as my first video got more views, people wanted to know if what I was doing could be done with a single-walled basket. So eventually I got one of those too. And it worked fine for a while, but I wasn't super consistent. But I thought it might be fixable. My 3D printed distribution tool wasn't very good. I'd had to sand it, it would get staticky and pick up a lot of grinds, and it often left ridges in the bed of the coffee, which that's not ideal. So I got a new tool. It's a heavy machined metal one that I love, and it's a combination distribution tool and tamping tool. It works great. It should have ironed all of the inconsistencies out, but unfortunately, consistency still frustrates and eludes me. Back to now, it's been 2.5 months since I've had the naked single wall portafilter, and 2.5 weeks or so since I've had the fancy new distribution tool. And the machine is a great intermediate setup, but the grinder is still a beginner one. That combination matters, and the Encore doesn't do a great job of espresso. And look, as I said, it's not like I haven't made good espresso. Even with a single wall basket and the new distribution tool, it's not impossible. It's just hard. And I'm not sure that I can do it consistently. So I can't give it a stamp of approval. Having said all that though, there are a few things you should consider before writing this setup off entirely. Even with a better grinder, I still don't think you should make a light roast espresso with the Bambino Plus. It doesn't get hot enough. According to Breville, it internally gets to about 93 degrees Celsius, but I've only ever measured it out of the group head at about 89 degrees Celsius. That's not great either way, because you want up to 96 Celsius for light espresso to be properly extracted. The Bambino makes better espresso with medium to dark roasts, and if that's what you're into, you might be okay with this. You might also be perfectly happy using the basket and portafilter that came with it. There's nothing wrong with easy mode. I haven't used it since I got the single wall basket, and I haven't compared the two. I actually was intending on doing that in this video, but to tell you the truth, I'm exhausted and but I will eventually have a comparison video for you, and I'm kind of terrified to try it in case I like the beginner espresso thing more. I should also note that I make pour-overs, French presses, and AeroPresses fairly often. That's not great for consistency purposes, and a lot of enthusiasts actually have separate espresso grinders so they can dial it in and keep it at the exact place. I'm not doing that. I wanted variety in my drinks, and I wanted a grinder that could do it all, and I think I'm paying for that. I can't say for certain if keeping it on the same grind setting would help you, but it might. I don't know. What I do know is this: the Encore is not great for espresso, especially if you're flipping back and forth between coffee methods, and especially if you want consistency, which is what enthusiasts love. I'll probably continue to toil with this setup and take a risk on every shot I make because I don't really want to spend the money right now. This grinder with the upgrade parts was between $285 and $300 Canadian, and the next one that I would consider is about $650 Canadian, which is a significant chunk of change. If I do end up getting it somewhere down the road, I'll be sure to make a video about it so you can see the differences, but that might not be for a while because it's a lot of money. I'm sorry if this is disappointing. I hope it serves as a warning that if you evolve with a hobby, sometimes you might need to evolve your equipment a little bit. Hobbies can be expensive, even if the main reason you have the hobby is to consume the thing that you made. In the meantime, if you have any tips, tricks, or sob stories about this particular setup, maybe you use these things too and you do it better somehow, please let me know, because it's all about improvement and I just want to make better coffee. I want you to make better coffee too, so please throw them in the comments, and if you have any questions, throw those in the comments too, because I do answer every single one of them. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe, that helps me a lot, and keep your eye out for future videos because I got a few neat ones I think you're going to like. Until then, find yourself a local roaster and go and do some coffee experiments yourself, because you really can't go wrong. See you then. I have been using the Breville. That's partially because I was including. I thought it might be fixable though. My 3D printed one. My 3D printed A lot of enthusiasts have a dedicated espresso grinder and then a different grinder. Wow, that bird is really annoying. Having said all that though, there are a few things you should consider before you write this setup. I have some other neat videos in the pipe. Give it a stamp of approval, because I would love to improve. I had to sand it. It got really staticky and ended up pulling up grinds a lot of the time. And wow, that is horrible.